Hello, friends, and welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark.
And I'm Midge Munster. And I recently got back from Salem, as you know. And while I was there, this has nothing to do with Salem. I'm going to preemptively be like, sorry guys, no witch stuff today. But while I was there, I was staying with my friend Kim, and she and I were looking for something to watch, like a movie, one night on Amazon, and it recommended us a movie, and the title, trailer, and just like overall vibe of the film really captured our attention, and we decided we needed to watch it. And the film is called Nandor Fodor and the Talking Mongoose.
Oh, I am familiar.
I was gonna say, are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Now, this episode is not going to be at all about the film itself, but I do have to say, I do think you should check this movie out after you listen to this episode if you find the topic intriguing. It's definitely not a direct historical interpretation of the events of the film. However, the vibes were correct. It's very like Wes Anderson, Knives Out, kind of like mixed vibes. And it's got Simon Pegg, got Shaun of the Dead.
I do love Simon Pegg. I would say I have not seen the film, but I am familiar with the tale.
The tale. And it's got Minnie Driver.
I love Minnie Driver.
So yeah, definitely worth a watch after this if you find this topic fascinating. But anywho, while we were watching the movie, I think the trailer had mentioned based on actual events or something, but Kim, like halfway through, she's like, wait, I think this is that case that Cody is obsessed with. And it indeed was. It is based on a true story, and I instantly was like, well, I gotta do a podcast about this. This is freaky and wild and weird. So today we're going to talk about the Talking Mongoose.
The Talking Mongoose.
And in preparation for this, I did read a BBC article, The Curious Case of the Talking Mongoose, as well as a Skeptic article. And I will also say, I don't know how this is how I found out about this, but Mystery Files did an episode on this like 3 months ago.
Oh, hey.
And I watch all of their stuff. I somehow completely missed this at the time, but I did watch it in prep for this. So that's also really, really well done. I highly recommend you go watch that also. Anywho, let's get into this, because I bet a lot of you who don't know what we're talking about
they're like, what the hell, Mitch?
Mean?
What are you talking about?
What the absolute hell do you mean? So let's set our scene first. This case, we're going to call it the case, because there are investigations, some different what have you. So
yeah,
this takes
that's a good
place
word for it.
Yeah, this case took place on the Isle of Man, which is an island in the Irish Sea. It's kind of it's off the coast of England and Ireland, kind of out in there. And we're set in the 1930s, which honestly feels a little late to me for a situation
for
the
this. Events that unfold.
For the events that occur in the next 20 so minutes that you're listening to this. Remember that this is like the mid 1930s. Because obviously people were believing a lot of crazy stuff in like the 1800s because lack of science.
Yes.
Right? Like science had not all the way caught up. I mean, not that it had in the 1930s either, but like...
Yeah, but it was significantly further.
It was significantly further, and 36 to 37 feels a bit wild to me for this to be happening. But we're also on an island. Not a lot of people there.
Crazy shit happens on islands.
Exactly. And looking at this time period, there's a population of about 40,000 on the island as a whole. And then specifically where this took place was a remote farm in Cashin's Gap is the locale, and it's in the hamlet of Delby. And not a lot of people in this area. It's rural farmland, and we are specifically on the remote farm of the well-off Irving family, our main characters here today. So the Irving family consists of the father, James Irving, mother Margaret Irving and their daughter Vori. They claim that this begins with them having disturbances in their home for a prolonged period of time. They're hearing scratching and other sounds inside the walls of their farmhouse that are keeping them up at all hours of the night.
That's no fun.
No fun. And I guess if we're going to play devil's advocate throughout this episode, lack of sleep can do a lot to people.
This is true. So
we're going to maybe throw them that bone early because it's not going to look great for the Irvings moving past this point. So, it's a farmhouse, so they assume it's probably rodents.
Sure.
Mice, something going on in the walls. So James puts out a series of traps, poison, whatever he can to try to get rid of the problem. It does not stop, and eventually they say that they catch a glimpse of what was in the walls and discover it to be a mongoose. Now, how these people from the Isle of Man, where mongoose are not native to that area, know what this critter is interesting to me. If you've never seen a mongoose, it's a kind of weaselly looking animal. It's long, rodenty animal, kind of brownish fur, very upsetting, kind of orange yellow eyes with the intense snake pupils. They have those long, elongated, snaky pupils. So I think if I saw this in my wall and that was not a critter native to my area, that would give me a proper spookin', I think.
It would be startling.
Uh-huh. But they are not startled, per se. The Irvings start calling the mongoose Gef. That's Gef with a G and one F, to be very specific.
As you do.
And they describe him as being about the size of 3 rats, the length of 3 rats, with a bushy tail. And his appearance, though, isn't really what's interesting here. The mongoose is called Gef, not because the family named him that, but because he introduced himself as such.
Of course.
Yeah, just gonna let that sink in. So yes, the Irving family claimed that the mongoose residing inside their walls could talk. And it's a kind of an evolving thing. They start by, which again, I'm just how did we get here? They start because he's hissing, and so they think that maybe he can mimic the sounds of other animals, like a parrot. So they supposedly are giving him animal sounds to mimic. They're doing bird calls and what have you, and Gef is repeating the sounds that he is hearing. And then eventually the daughter, Vori, starts reading to the mongoose, and the mongoose starts reciting the words back to her. At which point, somehow we go from mimicry to full-blown, this mongoose can talk and also carry on conversations. And not only would he do that, but he was singing. They claimed he could speak multiple languages.
Damn, Gef.
Yeah, he's a Renaissance man.
Goose.
Or a Renaissance mongoose, as it were. And Gef told them that he was originally from New Delhi in India. And that
a likely place for a mongoose to be from.
Right, so that makes sense.
That makes sense.
How did you get here, Gef? What do you mean? And so, yeah, an immigrant.
Hell yeah, Gef.
Hell yeah, Gef. And he's told them that he was over 80 years old, which I think mongooses live to be 18.
Yeah.
So he's a very old guy. One of the most cited Gef quotes when you look up anything about this story is that he told the family, quote, "I am a freak. I have hands and I have feet, and if you saw me, you would be paralyzed, petrified, mummified, turned into a pillar of salt.
Damn.
Wild. But they did see
But they
him.
do. So is he
Question
like?
mark.
Is he refer? Does he have like a true form in this?
Possibly.
That kind of makes me think that he's like, you see a mongoose, but actually, I'm fucking crazy with hands and feet.
I'm a freak with
I'm a
hands
freak.
and feet. That's dropping bars, Jeff.
Right.
But he did keep mostly to himself in the walls. That, like, when they're quote seeing Jeff, it's like glimpses of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's wrestling by, like, not wrestling, that's wrestling. Anyway, he's like shooting by holes in the walls, and
yes.
they're just seeing flashes.
How many holes do you guys have in your walls?
Apparently a ton.
I was gonna say this might be like a secret to your rodent problem.
Right. It becomes like a running gag throughout this story that they're like, yeah, we just listen through the holes in the walls. There was also some like things that referred to James having like tried to shoot the critter in the walls. So I don't know if there's like a bunch of
he
bullet
blasted
holes.
some holes. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Maybe there weren't this many holes when Jeff arrived.
Exactly. But I'm also assuming maybe like, you know, if there's paneled wood with like a knot,
for sure.
Like maybe there's a little gap in the wood or what have you. But they mostly are just hearing him, and he has a very high pitched voice. They said 2 octaves above a normal human voice.
Damn.
And they hear it echoing all over the farmhouse. And Jeff is kind of a volatile.
So he's actually showing up and being like, I'm a freak.
Yeah,
Love it.
dead ass. He's like, hello,
Hello, I'm a freaky guy.
freak with hands and feet.
You be mummified.
Petrified. Why, it could be grease lightning. But he's also kind of a bit emotionally volatile. Sometimes he would be very like pleasant and hanging out with the family. Like I said, he'd be like singing with the daughter, and then the next he would be like throwing rocks and things at them because he was upset.
Oh, he can also throw rocks?
Apparently. Oh, that's the least of what Jeff can do. There in the mystery, I only heard this in the Mystery Files episode. I couldn't find anything to back this up in like other literature, but there was supposedly a claim that one of the languages he spoke was sign language.
That's why he needed you to know that he had hands. So
yeah, he's very
like, you guys, I can
dexterous.
definitely do sign language.
Yeah, and you can't tell me I can't.
I'm in the wall, but I'm doing it right now.
But you can't see me. But so yeah, he would throw things and threaten the family. There's a newspaper article with a quote from Jeff saying to the family that I could kill you, but I won't.
No.
So he's very powerful, apparently, as well. Jeff had claimed to be an earthbound spirit, as well as throughout his time, there were people had heard claims that he was a deity, different gods, like trapped in a weasel body, in a mongoose body. So to answer your question, yes, possibly his true form is petrifying to behold. But here's where things get really fun. This is all happening in the Irving household up to this point. But about a year and a half into this, Jeff starts venturing outside of the home and going into town.
Damn, Jeff.
He's got errands to run. And other people start seeing Jeff, or claiming that they see Jeff. Specifically that Jeff would take the bus around town.
Yeah.
He would get on and pay his little fare and go boop, boop, boop around town. And one thing you need to know about him is that he is particularly known for his gossip. Diva. Jeff is a Gemini.
Jeff spilling the tea.
He would apparently go out, get the hot goss, like spy basically on other families and people and things around the island, and then come home to the Irvings and be like, you will not believe what Becca said today. You will not believe it. And it became kind of widely known that Gef knew things that no one had any way of knowing. He was telling secrets. There was like claims that he quoted poetry that was like written years later, kind of stuff, like just weird. And as more and more people start seeing Gef across the hamlet of Dalby, he becomes known as the Dalby Spook. And he gets a lot of publicity. Stories start making the news, not just on the island, but all over the place.
Sure. And, I mean, if I heard about this, I would want to know more.
Right. And it kind of, at first is like a fun, like, human interest piece, right? Like, crazy talking mongoose on the Isle of Man. But it gains the attention of several reporters, investigators, and the like in England, and even as far as, like, people in America are being like, we'll pay to bring Gef to America.
Classic Americans. We're like, we're not going to the Isle of Man. Bring Gef here.
Yeah, put him in a cage and send him over. It's our favorite thing to do.
I mean, he got here. He did get to the UK from India, so he could probably make it to America.
Yeah, presumably he's well traveled.
Yes.
But also apparently they offered Gef that, and he was like, I can't go. I'm booked and blessed here on the Isle of Man. He's like,
I'm happy here.
So he gets the attention, though, of several paranormal folks, because, again, possibly a ghost haunting the body of a mongoose, ? So, specifically, famed ghost hunter Harry Price gets word of this through, I believe, a letter a friend wrote him that knew James Irving. Was like, you are not going to believe what James has happening up in his home. And so Harry writes a letter to James Irving asking about the mongoose. Just like, tell me about what you got going on. And James is like, come see for yourself. Come on down. So Price first sends someone in his stead to conduct the initial investigation of the home. And that person goes, doesn't really get much of anything. And the report ends in him being like, well, I never saw Gef, but I did hear him. And they're like, okay. And the Irving family gives this investigator that went a sample of collected hair from Gef. They're like, no, really, he's real. Here's this proof. And when that was tested, it came back as dog fur.
Sure.
Right. So they're like, okay, that's probably
not Gef.
not Gef. But then a couple years later, I don't know if Harry Price was just like, I gotta know.
I gotta know about Gef.
I've gotta know. So it's 1935 at this point. This has been going on for like 4 years already. And Harry Price is like, I gotta go find out. So he goes to the Isle of Man to conduct his own investigation. But you know what? Wouldn't you know it, Penny? Gef went missing during the time that Harry Price and his associate, Richard Lambert of BBC, were on the island.
Isn't that just the way it goes?
Yeah, Gef was like, I already had a timeshare scheduled for that date.
Gosh, you guys, such bad timing.
Such bad timing. I have to visit my aunt in Montauk. But he comes back right after right after Harry and Richard leave. And the two of them do still, quote, present their findings. They write a book called The Haunting of Cashin's Gap, which, I mean, they see the, like, I don't know, the physical evidence, I guess, if there is any. The family has also been claiming that, like, Gef, in order to, maintain his relationship with the family, like, leaves them rabbits and stuff, like, has killed rabbits for them and all these other things, and he has like a sanctum, so they're like showing them, like, no, really, here's where Gef is, and here's where he stays, and here's the rabbits he's brought us, and they're like, okay. But the book is, like, surprisingly neutral. Like, it's very, like, we don't
Could
know
be.
if Jeff is real or not. Maybe. But they didn't even hear him the way that the first guy did. So now you may remember, you're like, Midge, that Harry Price is not the name of the person from the film you mentioned.
No, he's not.
And I'm like, we'll have to do some digging, Penny. I'm like 96% sure this is not the first time we've talked about Nandor Fodor. I want to say that maybe that came up in our seance episode.
This is very possible.
But yeah, you don't forget a name like
It's
Nandor
a good
name. But he is the next person to investigate the Irving home. He is born to a Hungarian family in the Ukraine, and then he moves to London. But he becomes a research officer for the International Institute of Psychical Research, and famously compiled the Encyclopedia of Psychic Science in 1933. And that kind of cements his authority as an expert on things of psychic nature or spiritual nature. So he's the big dog. And he goes and stays with the Irvings for a week. He does not ever see Jeff. Though I do believe he, quote, hears Jeff, unlike Harry Price. So he kind of comes to the conclusion that it is not a purposeful hoax, but he does conclude that Jeff is perhaps a creation of James Irving's mind, and that maybe James is unwell and suffering from a split personality, or DID, as we call it now. So that's kind of his hypothesis. He's like, I think that James believes Jeff is real. They're not trying to, like, purposefully swindle people. Because, like, at this point, too, a lot of people have come to their farm looking for this.
Yeah.
But there are some other theories. The most popular one is actually that the daughter was Jeff. A lot of locals and other investigators who went in noted that Vori, the daughter, is like a known amateur ventriloquist. I guess that's what you learn to do when you're bored on an island in a farmhouse and you're like 13. And Jeff was particularly close to the daughter. That was kind of his main person, and he was often, whenever he was, like, quote, seen, a lot of the times in the house, it was in Vori's room, or, like, she was in her room talking to him, and he would be heard in her room a lot of the time. But then a lot of other local people were like, well, we heard him other places where she wasn't, or we went over to their house and heard him and she wasn't home. So, could be that she, quote, wasn't home, wink, wink, or wasn't there, wink, wink. But she remained consistent in her stories about these happenings until her death in 2005. She never recanted, and she even was pretty resentful of the whole situation in the end, and that it kind of ruined her family in a lot of ways. So there's that complication with it being her perpetrating the voice. Like, what the whole thing is that I left the film wondering this. If this is a hoax, why?
Yeah.
The family never made any money from this. They were already very well off. And throughout the several, I mean, again, this goes on for 6 or 7 years. Throughout that time, other than, like, them being visited by a lot of people, they are on a large public scale seen as wackos.
Yeah.
Like, they are not, like, well received for this attention. And it ended up being, in the end, that they not only kind of fall into attention obscurity, but when it comes time for them to, they have to sell their farmhouse, and they sell it at a loss because it's, quote, haunted.
Yeah.
And probably just, the notoriety of the location at that point, because nobody wants to buy, I guess now people do, but like at that time, I'm like, people don't want to buy a farm, especially where you're trying to work and things.
Yeah.
Where people are showing up on your property all the time being like, is this Jeff's house?
Right, yeah. I mean, you obviously even see it today with, like, movie location
exactly
type
and
things,
like,
and that's not even a thing that, like, actually happened.
Exactly. So yeah, they sell the house at a loss. The person who buys the house claims that they shot Jeff. They say that they killed a weasel-like creature within the first year of living there. Now, whether or not
that's what I would do if there were rumors about my house. I would be like, Jeff's not here. I killed him.
Jeff's not here. He can't come to the phone right now. Why? He's dead. So yeah, whether that was like a publicity stunt to get people to stop coming to this house, I don't know. But the house ended up being demolished later, and so it just kind of remains a mystery to this day. Again, like the most recent contact we have with the story is Vori before her death in 2005, and she was like, yeah, that was real, and also screw Jeff. Like she she was pretty upset about it still. So, whether or not, I mean, this is just fascinating regardless. It's a very funny, it's a weird
quirky story.
Very quirky story. There is only because of the why factor, because I can't figure out why, other than attention, people would do this, but they weren't charging to investigate. They weren't charging to talk to Jeff or view Jeff. So to me, I'm like, they were also kind of, it seems, looking for answers or validation in some way. Unless it really was the daughter and the parents didn't know it was the daughter, so they were seeking answers.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just very odd, but there's a part of me, because of who I am as a person, that wants to lean to like, well, maybe there was a talking mongoose. Because like, why else would what's the purpose? I don't know. It's just very strange. And of course, because of the nature of the case, like there isn't a lot of solid, concrete anything we can look at. There's not ever going to be an answer. But I do highly recommend, like I said, checking out some other stuff about this. Watching that movie is very interesting and fun. I think you would resonate with it, Penny, because they portray Fodor in that as, being a paranormal researcher, but also like pretty much a pretty hardcore skeptic, and really equate him to relating to like Houdini's struggle, which they do a whole thing like, about Houdini.
I want to believe,
I was watching that. I was like, Penny would be mad because they portrayed Houdini's story like not correctly, and I was like, oh, she gonna be pissed.
I better not see anyone out here talking shit about Houdini.
Well, because they said that they like retell, what why, his, like, he was a skeptic and he set up this passcode with his wife, blah blah blah, but they basically say that she heard the word from one of the psychics, and I was like, that didn't happen. Like she never found him, and she was like, that's enough, waiting for a man, I'm done.
Yes.
Anywho, that's the Talking Mongoose, or at least the abridged version. This just really captured my attention. I've never seen anything about this somehow, and it seems like it's pretty well permeated its way through the community, so y'all probably, there are definitely some of you who are going to know this and know more about it than I do. But please, let's talk let's talk about it. Tell me,
Yes.
tell me what you think. Like, why would they fake this if they did? I cannot wrap my brain around it other than, yeah, maybe Fodor's like one of them was mentally ill and
Yes,
just
someone
was
believed it, yeah.
someone really believed it. But yeah, it's just fascinating to me, and especially because the whole town got involved.
Right,
Like
yeah.
everybody on the island believed in Gef. So it's also just a very interesting, you know, kind of human piece of like, not mob mentality per se, but like how quickly something can become true to people
Yeah.
when you're kind of in that vacuum chamber on like a small town or a small island. Just fascinating. So there you have it. Like I said, I would love to engage with y'all on this topic and hear what your thoughts are. There's a couple ways that you can share that with us. The first would be to join our Discord server. We've got a great group of people over there, and we have a lot of fun talking about all kinds of things. But there is episode discussion chat, and so once this comes out, if you want to come over there and chat with me about this, I would love that. You can find that information in our show notes, a link for the Discord, or you can find it on our Instagram, which is Ghouls Night in Pod. If you would like to tell us that you like this show, we would really enjoy that as well. You can leave us a rating or a review where you listen. Or if you cannot do that where you listen, you can always either Spotify does allow comments now. We read those, or you can send us an Instagram DM on that aforementioned Ghouls Night in Pod page. I think, Penny, you said you've got some comments on one of our recent episodes to share, right?
I do. Our Bailey School Kids episode really struck a chord, I think. Lots of people have lovely memories of those books. So we've definitely had conversations about it on our Discord and in the Instagram. But I did want to share a couple of comments. One, actually, I had forgotten this when you said that Bailey School Kids came back into your life like 3 years ago. Gabrielle says, I love the Bailey School Kids. I actually forgot they existed until you mentioned them in your Goosebumps and 90s Spooky Books episode last year. And I think I mentioned them and you were like, what?
I think it was you, yeah. And
oh my gosh,
it was a combination of like you and that meme going viral of kids gawking at homosexuals.
Right, and so that is the other one is our friend Kelsey, who we have done some interviews with before, says, I had not seen the children gawking at homosexuals meme, and I am crying fat hot tears on the subway while I listen to this on my work commute. I am deceased. Which I love. So we also have Marissa mentioned that she also thought Mrs. Jeepers was neat as a kid.
Just a really cool gal.
Just a really cool gal.
Just a neat woman.
Right. And I also just wanted to shout out one from Lisa Christopher, who says that she used to read the Bailey School Kids to her nieces and nephews. And they're in their 20s now, but they have core memories of us going to the library to get the next book as we finished one. Thanks for the memories. Another reason I love listening to you ghouls.
Oh, I love that. Raising them right.
Right? I love that so much. Show your kids spooky books and watch out for mongoose, I guess.
That's the moral
will be my moral of today's episode.
Well, thank you all so much for engaging with us about that episode. That one was a lot of fun, and we love chatting with you. So yes. Join us wherever you can: Discord, Instagram, in the reviews section, wherever you can find us. Go ahead and come on over and chat. And if you are looking for me, you can find me all over the web at Midge Munster,
and you can find me at Penny Snark.
And until next time.
Goodbye.